Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And it's Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. And there is so much to talk about, but shout out to Canada in general for having a whole lot of breaches. But we're going around the world today. Canada, you take the cake to the point where I'm wearing a Maple Leafs jersey just in your honor. I hope you feel better. But we are also talking about 23andMe again. The Washington Post. Hundreds of banks are going to have to declare. ASUS, the major tech provider, multiple politicians in Canada, plus a whole lot more, and a breach so bad that somebody had to move to the other side of the planet just to escape it. I'm not kidding. It's absolutely crazy. But thank you very much to John Sorensen, John Woo, not the same John Woo, I assume, that does all of those Kung Fu movies, Lars Despo, and Jacqueline Wolf for sending me some of this. And with that, we're just going to start huge with our mini segment simply entitled, If You Just Spent Money on Cybersecurity, You Wouldn't Be Getting Sued, You Wouldn't Be Losing Your Reputation, and we sure as heck wouldn't be talking about you right now. And we are going to start with 23andMe. Again, I talked about them literally last week, starting to settle their bankruptcy and lawsuit and data breach claims in the United States. Well, let's keep rolling because now we are moving to Canada, like I said, because there is a settlement with plaintiffs in Canada over their data breach as well. So the proposed Canadian settlement covers anybody who was a 23andMe customer between May 1st and October 1 in 2023, living in Canada during that window, and received a notice from 23andMe notifying them that they got hit. And so best of luck. But if you're in Canada, you're going to get paid from 23andMe at some point. Moving on, the Washington Post. Yes, one of the most venerated papers here in the United States. A former employee of the Washington Post filed a class action lawsuit against the outlet on Friday over a recent breach that compromised the personal details of thousands of current and former Washington Post employees. Jun Hee Kim, who, according to the filing, worked to the Post from 2018 to 2019, filed a suit on behalf of the almost 10,000 current and former employees and basically said that the Post obviously did not adequately secure their personal data. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this position now, would we? Moving on. Going back to Canada, Nova Scotia Power. Basically, a Nova Scotia injury law firm is launching a class action against Nova Scotia Power in light of basically the cyber attack they had this past spring in May. I remember basically talking about that on this very show. So, a private utility announced nearly 300,000 ratepayers had their private information stolen, and so here it comes. Interestingly enough, class action lawsuits move much slower in Canada, where in the United States, you literally are getting data breached and you've got it halfway out your mouth as a company declaring it and somebody's suing you already. Moving on. Atrium Centers Management in Columbus, Ohio, according to their lawsuit, the company allegedly failed to, quote, implement adequate, reasonable cybersecurity procedures and protocols, obviously to protect sensitive data data and information of employees and patients, both past and present. I don't know much more, but it's up to you if you worked or were a patient at Atrium Centers Management, or Atrium Centers, I guess, in Columbus. Moving on, OpenAI and Mixpanel. To my point, I literally just talked about this data breach in my last segment 7 days ago and just cranking it out on Monday, less than 24 hours after I talked about it. A California resident reportedly has sued artificial intelligence startup OpenAI and data analytics provider Mixpanel after they disclosed this data breach. So John Woodward's class action alleged that their companies violated their duty to safeguard data. They're seeking damages, injunctives, all this kind of stuff, but there you go. And so those were your lawsuits of the week or payouts of the week. And if they had just spent money on cybersecurity, they wouldn't be getting sued or paying out. Losing their reputation, we sure as heck wouldn't be talking about them right now, would we? Moving on into real time, let's head to Canada. Surprise, with telecom service provider Freedom Mobile. Basically, the incident, according to them, was identified on October 23rd, and it was a result of a credential compromise. That's how they got in. Specifically, the threat actor gained access to a subcontractor's account and used it to log into Freedom Mobile's customer account management platform. So if you're a Freedom Mobile customer in Canada, basically names, addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, and customer account numbers are the name of the game here. Moving on, 700 credit. They're basically a credit check and identity check, and as well as a compliance provider for car dealerships. So they suffered a massive data breach in late October, exposing more than 8 million customer records, including social security numbers, dates of birth, addresses, employment information, and more. Moving on, Visage Imaging on November 26th, they filed with Massachusetts unauthorized access basically to personal information within their systems. And essentially, we are talking about personally identifiable information. I do not have a list, but names and social security numbers were caught up in this as well. Moving on, let's head back to Canada and talk about basically conservative members of parliament, meaning the Conservative Party, their members. So a data breach at Conservative Party headquarters involved more people than initially believed. So the party first became aware of this on November 17th, which I believe I actually talked about last month, after the personal financial records of 15 members of parliament were emailed to party insiders and others. All except one of the MPs were elected for the first time this past April in that election. A subsequent internal investigation revealed records belonging to other nomination candidates, not just those who ultimately became MPs. Those were also downloaded as well, and those whose information was obtained were notified by the party last week. Not a good look for the Conservatives in Canada, but best of luck to you if you were breached and you're an MP. You're pretty much on the radar if you're a politician anywhere, but best of luck, Canada. Moving on. Town Mortgage Company, an unauthorized third party, may have copied data out of Town Mortgage's network. The impacted data may include names and other personally identifiable information. On November 13th, they began sending out notices as well. Moving on, let's head on over to France and talk about the French DIY retail giant known as Leroy Merlin. Basically, they began notifying customers that their personal information had been compromised. Now, Leroy Merlin operates in multiple European countries as well as South Africa and Brazil, and they have about 165,000 employees, and they've got an annual revenue of about 9.9 billion US. If you work for them or shop with them, your full name, phone number, email address, postal address, date of birth, loyalty program related information may have been compromised. Moving on, back to the United States, let's go to Harbor Regional Center in Pittsburgh. An unauthorized person gained access to their network and may have acquired records containing personally identifiable information or health information, basically that Harbor Regional Center had on you. So address, date of birth, social security, medical record number, health insurance info, diagnosis and treatment, medical history, prescription information, medical lab, or test results may have been impacted here. Moving on, let's talk about pharma firm Innovative. They are notifying thousands of people that their personal information was stolen in August due to a ransomware attack. The attack disrupted business operations after some of its networks and systems, including databases and internal applications, were hit and were taken down. Certain data related to current and former employees of Innovative and their family members, as well as data related to other individuals who may have interacted with Innovative, may be on the chopping block here. So best of luck to you there. Moving on, BizFunder. This is BYZ Funder. Anyway, on September 19th, they became aware of a security incident in their cloud software solution. Unauthorized party may have gained access between September 1st through the 1st through the 20th month. The 1st through the 20th of this year. It's funny how the brain works, right? The impacted data may have included names and social security numbers as well. Moving on, Rock Hill Women's Care on February 26th, they became aware of a security incident. Unauthorized third party gained access to their systems, and we are talking names, address, dates of birth, social security numbers, medical treatment info, and health insurance information as well. Rock Hill Women's Care, you gotta speed it up on these kinds of things because it's protecting your patients is so unbelievably important. Please disclose faster. Hopefully you never have a next time, but if you do, now you know. Moving on, Liberty Resources. Basically, they're a healthcare provider based in Syracuse, New York. An unauthorized person gained access to Liberty's network and may have acquired records containing PII, social security number, medical information, so PHI as well, health insurance info, and dates of birth. We're basically caught up with Liberty Resources. It's up to you, Syracuse. Moving on, I want to give you another update on Oracle e-business, not the health side, but the e-business side, because every week it seems like at least one organization or company is essentially notifying data breaches. And this week would be Barts Health NHS in the United Kingdom. They're one of the largest providers, basically in the UK, from what I understand, and also Penn, Ivy League university, and they're following along with Harvard and Dartmouth and Princeton. And I swear, it's just like the Ivy League's getting hit in the past month. It's absolutely nuts. But those are the Oracle e-business suite basically disclosures, and this has been going on for months and months and months. Breaches of the year will be coming soon, and believe me, I think Oracle's going to be on that list. Moving on, ASUS. Yes, ASUS. I'm pretty sure if you have any nerd in you, you know who ASUS is. They're a major global hardware and electronics company. The Everest ransomware group has now claimed to have breached ASUS, and they posted their claim on a leak site in the dark web, specifying that they stole data, which includes proprietary firmware or software related to cameras in ASUS devices. So if you own an ASUS something like a laptop or whatever that has a camera, you might want to check in. And finally, and we've got a couple finalies for you this week, we're going to talk about financial software provider Marquee Software Solutions. Now, they basically are warning everybody that they suffered a data breach that impacted dozens of banks and credit unions across the United States. Now, this is the interesting part of it, because basically they provide data analytics and CRM tools, compliance reporting, and digital marketing services, not to dozens of banks and credit unions, but to over 700 banks and credit unions and mortgage lenders as well. So in their data breach notification that they filed with multiple U.S. Attorney General's offices, Marquee says they suffered a ransomware attack on August 14th of this year after they got hit through their SonicWall firewall. In other words, somebody didn't get phished, they got technologically hacked, which really underscores the point of, one, you need the best possible firewall out there, and best of luck to you if you're running a SonicWall, but you also need to make sure that you are maintaining these things up to date. If you're running a VPN, you should be on the latest software. The operating system on the SonicWall should always be up to date, et cetera, et cetera. But here we go. Possibly 700 banks and credit unions and mortgage lenders are caught up in this. They're saying dozens. We will see. But they have already declared that names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, taxpayer IDs, financial account information without security or access codes, and dates of birth are caught up in this. And given what they do, it's not just employee information that we're worried about. It's literally over 700 banks, credit unions, and lenders. And again, I'm hoping it's dozens. I'm praying it's not 700, but we've got to assume the worst in these, because oftentimes what happens is they start small, and then a year later they say, oh, by the way, it was everybody, not just 10%. And that's literally what Dropbox did. So do the math on that. Moving on. Our last finally of the day is the Police Service of Northern Ireland, or PSNI. Now, I've done segments on their data breach and the ongoing saga of that over the past, I want to say it was like the year or so. But this one is interesting because, and I don't have a name, but a Catholic, specifically, a Catholic woman left the Police Service of Northern Ireland and moved to Australia to prevent her parents from becoming targets for dissident Republicans. And that's basically what the High Court in Belfast has heard, Belfast being the capital of Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland, predominantly Protestant. Regular Ireland, or I should say the country of Ireland, which is the rest of the island, is predominantly Catholic. So a Catholic in Northern Ireland, and here we go. So the woman, identified only as RB207, was giving evidence via video link in a compensation case against the PSNI over the 2023 data breach. And again, this goes back a while, but I remember giving updates on this. Now, in the incident, in the aftermath of the incident, she was twice warned that she was under threat of attack. She claimed the breach, quote, put a target on my family home, end quote, and resulted in her taking a job with the Western Australia Police Force. So RB207 is one of 6 test cases for damages being heard by a judge. And I don't think I've really heard a data breach where, outside of like politics, but in this case, where you just have a police officer, in this case, that happens to be Catholic in a predominantly Protestant, country, and Lord knows they fight. Obviously, the Northern Ireland is part of the UK, but I'm just calling it a country. So this is I think, a real interesting challenge here that we're going to see, because obviously religious violence, political violence is continuously a thing. But when you start moving this and merging this up, like moving this into the spotlight and merging this up with data breaches, it's not good for anybody. So I hope she's okay. I hope her family's okay. And can't we all just get along? So there you go. Those were your breaches of the week. Like I said, tons of Canada, but tons for everybody else too, unfortunately, as well. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, secure, and informed. Take care.